All right, welcome to another episode of Real Physician Reacts. I am yours truly, Dr. Pierre, your favorite board certified internist, host of Real Physician Reacts here on Dr. Pierre TV. This is our weekly show where we talk about things that come across my social media platforms, and you get to see my reactions kind of, face to face. And unfortunately, we are having to put another physician on the barbecue pit per se, right? This is one where just watching the interview, I was mortified to hear a physician, someone of his stature, actually say some of the things that he says, right? So we're gonna be talking about Dr. Rashid Buttar, who is a physician out of North Carolina. And when we talk a lot on this channel about misinformation and disinformation, and one of the biggest things I always say and always try to preach is that there's a lot of people who spread misinformation out. So this is information that they felt was factual, but come to find out wasn't really factual, but they just didn't know any better. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to talk about a physician today who is spreading disinformation, one who willingly knows that the information he's spreading is false, but is doing so for what we'll find out later is financial gain and some type of notoriety that he's definitely going to find what he's looking for. So yeah, let's let's not shortchange ourselves. Let's get right into it. Again, remember, if you have not had a chance, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That way you can check out all either Real Physician Reacts or on Mondays when we do our Medicine Monday episodes. Very, very appreciate it. Especially shout out to all of our current subscribers here on Dr. Pierre TV. So let's get into it, guys. Like I said, this is a doozy. The setting is a recent CNN interview, and again, I'm gonna try to sit back and bite my tongue as much as I can. But you know me, my facial expressions, and then eventually when I start talking, you'll know exactly when I'm frustrated for what I'm hearing.
Dr. Rashid Buttar at one time had more than 1 million followers and is considered one of the top spreaders of disinformation about COVID-19.
Like, so I mean, they're starting off right. Again, I love CNN because CNN holds no words back in regards to this person who's spreading disinformation. He's already regarded as one of the leading spreaders of disinformation. Make sure you understand how they stress the word disinformation. So this is, again, not like facts that he thought was true but comes out to be false, like something that he clearly knows is false, clearly proven to be false, but continues to spread it anyway to people who are willing to listen and read because he knows he has the followers who will kind of follow along. So again, it's already starting off, unfortunately, on the doozy.
More people are dying from the COVID vaccine than from COVID.
And we've talked about this for the past few weeks. The fact that and they're going to mention it, worldwide, right? Let's just say worldwide. Worldwide, we've had billions of people receive the vaccine. Billions, right? With a B. And for him to say and even infer that the billions of people receive that vaccine, more are actually dying from the vaccine, but not COVID itself, is inflammatory in and of itself. But like, that's what they do, right? This is the people, when they spread their disinformation, again, they're reading off the same. You're going to see a lot, especially if this is not your first time watching Real Physician Reacts, you're going to hear a lot of lies that we've already debunked on past episodes, which again kind of shows what I mentioned, that they all keep repeating the same lie over and over again, hoping that someone's not watching a show like Real Physician Reacts to dispute it.
That is not true. Neither is his tweet that the Red Cross won't accept blood from people who have had the COVID-19 vaccine.
So, and we talked about this, I think it was Dr. Dan Stock, where he kind of mentioned that Red Cross was refusing people who got the vaccines. Again, I don't know what playbook they're getting from. If you check some of my past comments from my previous Real Physician Reacts, clearly those same people are following along the same lines as this. But again, this is, again, and just the fact that to have the stature, right? Because I think a lot of times what I like about this episode is that it stresses that disinformation doesn't just come from, your cousin on Facebook or your cousin on WhatsApp, your dad on WhatsApp. No, like, we have professionals who aren't holding up their part of the bargain, spreading the amount of lies that are out there. So again, this is what makes it scary, because of his designation being a healthcare leader as a physician. People are going to likely listen to him, and unfortunately, people who are going to listen to him are going to die.
He posted, most who took COVID vaccines will be dead by 2025.
We've heard that before.
But his
which we know
biggest
is false.
whopper is the overarching conspiracy theory that COVID was a planned operation, which was politically motivated as part of a secret global plot to depopulate the earth.
And again, if it you almost hope you would never have to debate something as preposterous as this. But when you're dealing with this level of misinformation, disinformation out there, if someone like me does not come on here and say, like, guys, like, this guy is full of it, right? I don't want to curse, because I don't know if your kids are watching. If someone like me does not come out here and say this is full of, that, someone's gonna believe them, right? Someone's gonna believe that COVID-19 was cooked up in some random lab and spread out across the world for this depopulation task, right? Someone's actually gonna believe that. And again, he's not the first, he is not going to be the last, but someone's gonna believe him who watches and who's in earshot of him, and they're gonna die because of it.
You believe the pandemic was planned?
I do.
Okay, but you don't know by whom.
I have no idea.
And
so again, right, has no clue who did the planning, but stands on his convictions that it is planned. Like guys, what do we do here? What should we do when you have that position, and then you have someone like me or my other healthcare professionals who are actually spreading the good information, having to fight against that? Like, what do you do against that? Like, it's just a level of craziness I'll probably never understand.
And you don't know why.
Well, I suspect that there's the research that's coming now that would indicate that it's probably something to reduce the population or minimize reproduction rates.
False.
It would
and
be
false
laughable if it wasn't so dangerous.
Exactly.
Buttar compares COVID and the vaccine to World War II, and Dr. Anthony Fauci to Adolf Hitler.
So we've heard this level of rhetoric again. I think when we talked about Jordan Klepper's episode, and you had people who are anti-maskers comparing the wearing of masks, the advocating of vaccines to the Holocaust, to slavery. It's infuriating, because I know someone out there is going to listen to what he says and is going to tell their relative, don't get vaccinated. And because of that reason, someone's not going to go home for Christmas. Someone's not going to be here next year, because they're going to listen to people like this try to equate vaccines and public health measures such as wearing a mask and social distancing to the Holocaust, to slavery. Like, if you are Jewish and someone comparing wearing your mask or getting a vaccine to the Holocaust, if that doesn't infuriate you, I don't know what will. If you are African American and someone is actually trying to compare slavery to what's happening today, and that doesn't infuriate you, then probably nothing will, right? And I'm totally fine if that doesn't infuriate you, but like, that just lets me know that you're likely not the person that we're going to try to sway and educate. So we're going to not spend the energy trying to, right? We're going to actually spend the energy on people who actually have questions, right? And aren't comparing a vaccine and Dr. Fauci to the Holocaust and Adolf Hitler.
Fauci is a criminal. You talk about Hitler? Okay, well.
Whoever Dr. Fauci is in your mind, he is a government bureaucrat, and you're comparing him to Hitler.
Well, I mean,
to Nazis.
I am.
Who killed 6 million Jews.
I think this number is going to be higher.
Yeah, he's standing firm. He's standing firm that he really feels that the vaccine is going to kill more people than those who died during the Holocaust and those who died during slavery. Like, standing firm. Like, these are the people who should not be practicing medicine. These are the people who licenses should be taken away. And we're going to get to later on where he's confident that that's not going to happen.
You think Dr. Fauci is involved in some kind of plot to kill millions of people? I just want to make sure I understand this.
Again, Drew, I'm a reasonable person. You're asking me what I think, and I said it could be this, but I can tell you that Dr. Fauci is not an innocent bystander. He's very well aware of what he's doing, and the extent of it and his involvement, I don't know. I'm not privy to that information.
As atrocious as
Just
Dr.
lies
Buttar's fake
on top of
conclusions
lies.
and conspiracy theories are, he is just one of the doctors spreading dangerous COVID disinformation to millions of people across social media, according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate.
Let's be absolutely clear. Lies cost lives in a pandemic.
I love that. And again, obviously, that's something we've been stressing here on, Dr. Barry Pierre TV and as well as inside the Lunch and Learn community, that misinformation just isn't like, a slap on the wrist. Like, people will die, not going to, people will die and likely have already died because of the level of misinformation that's out there. And here you have a professional, a physician, right, who is spreading some of the biggest level of lies that you could ever think about and is standing firm on those lies despite evidence that says, like, sir, you're lying, right? Like, that's what's crazy here.
If you're encouraging people not to vaccinate, you will cause people to lose their lives.
Correct.
Buttar is encouraging people to distrust life-saving vaccines. And like other disinformers, he is using false, twisted information and unproven conspiracies to do it.
Do you think the COVID vaccine works?
I think that the COVID vaccine is very effective at what it was designed for, perhaps, but it's not preventing
Designed?
death. Certainly not.
It's not preventing death.
No.
So again, like what do you do, right? When you're presented factual information that the COVID vaccine not only is reducing hospitalizations, reducing deaths around the world, like when you're presented that information, but then you give the argument that, oh, no, it's not doing that. Like, so what is, right? Like this, again, dangerous level of disinformation here today. And it's, like I said, it's just scary, that we have people like him who are still able to practice medicine with their license intact.
Even faced with indisputable facts, Buttar doubles down on his belief
Doubles
that
down.
life-saving
Doubles
vaccines
down
are
on the
more
lies.
dangerous than the virus itself.
People don't die from COVID. You've already seen the data. So why?
People don't die from COVID. Guys, like if not for the fact that obviously we got to get through this interview, I would have stopped watching, right? Because these are the type of people that you need to write letters to. Like, if you're in North Carolina, you need to be writing letters to the medical board wondering how he is still practicing medicine, right? He's likely going to be taking care of one of your family members. And the question is, do you want someone who's going to lie so blatantly to be taking care of one of your family members? That's really the question.
Are we getting a vaccine that causes more deaths than the problem itself?
False.
6.34 billion doses of this vaccine have been given. If you're right, people be dropping dead all around this whole.
It's not orchestrated to do that.
It's not orchestrated to do that.
Each vaccine has been geared up. So you can look at the ingredients of the vaccines themselves. It's all been published.
Complete the sentence. Each vaccine has been geared up for what?
Well,
there's a time part?
Each vaccine is designed. It appears to be different. I don't know the details because I'm not a vaccine developer.
So I'm not a vaccine developer. I'm not a vaccine expert. I don't know what the vaccine will do. I just know for some concrete reason that it's developed to do something different. And that's why it's going to kill so many people by 2025. Like, these are the people we're hearing. And unfortunately, the people who are on the fence of COVID hear, oh my God, there's no long-term data. Oh my God, like maybe he's right. Oh my God, what's in the ingredients? Like, this is scary, people. Scary, scary, scary. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's crazy. Like, again, when this video came across my timeline, like, I was so mortified that I was like, oh, I gotta talk about this like ASAP. Like, this has to be, like, I need to stamp this out ASAP. I am already ready for the comments of people who are gonna try to defend trash like this. Like, and I cannot wait for it.
Scientific corruption
Because of his disinformation, Buttar has been removed from Facebook and Instagram, but he's still going strong on Twitter, Telegram, and his own website, all filled with falsehoods.
On September 5th, you retweeted a photo of an AstraZeneca packaging that seems to indicate the vaccine was made in 2018. That picture that you retweeted was a doctored photo. It was fake.
Perhaps it was fake, but
Why would you do that?
So, Drew, let me ask you something. You're saying it's not reasonable to question the same agencies that have resulted in numerous deaths, i.e. the FDA?
It's reasonable to ask questions. What I don't understand is how you get from your asking questions to your belief.
I absolutely love the interviewer, because some interviewers will allow people like this guy here to spread out a lie and like not really call them out on it. And as you can see, he can't help. He's like me. He can't help but to call out the BS when he sees it. He can't. That's a great question. How are you getting to the fact that like you're asking a question, which is okay to ask a question, to believing that false like narrative? Like, how are you making that leap? Because it's a huge leap. Maybe not in the anti-vaxxers' eyes, or a person like this guy who's going to be spreading disinformation out there, but it is a significantly huge leap that he is somehow able to leap. It's just crazy.
You had 1.2 million followers at one point.
Yes.
I'm glad they kicked him off of Facebook.
False
and
information from you.
So glad.
Not correct or challenging medical information.
We definitely need Twitter to hurry up and kick him out, and Telegram. Like he should not have a social. He should be kicked out of social media. Like that former president, right? If you're going to spread disinformation, misinformation out, you should not be allowed to continue to spread it on these type of platforms.
Information. They got a doctored photo.
If I sent a tweet out of a picture that was doctored and I didn't know about it, I'm not perfect. Maybe I did make that mistake.
So again, he's trying to argue that that was a bit of misinformation. Hey, I didn't realize it was false. That's what he's arguing. But his history already shows us that he clearly knew it was false, and still will hold firm to the ground that it was okay to spread it.
But I cannot make mistakes on the numbers.
The very latest
he's definitely
vaccine
making mistakes
studies
on the
show they
numbers.
remain 90% effective in preventing hospitalization and death.
Yep.
Buttar tells his followers it is the vaccine that is the danger.
We already see thousands of people dying. This Delta variant is all vaccine injury.
Again, people who, and we've talked about this before, but people who argue that the vaccine is the reason for the Delta variant, one, don't understand how viruses replicate and what viruses need to replicate to cause a variant, and two, can never answer the question, then why is it that over 90+% of the people sitting in a hospital are the ones who are unvaccinated? They never can actually explain those two salient points, right? But they're quick to say it's the vaccine that caused the Delta variant that's getting everyone sick. Like, no, it's being unvaccinated that allows the virus to replicate and spread like wildfire and causing majority. And again, we're not talking 49-51. We're talking 90 to 10, right? Like that's the ratio of unvaccinated to vaccinated people sitting in hospitals across the country. In certain states, it's like 95-5. Like it's absolutely ridiculous. What's going on here.
I mean, the CDC's own data is showing that now.
That's just not true.
I don't want to be part of this mass genocide that I see happening. And I think that what's going on right now will be remembered as a worst time in history.
No, Dr. Buttar, or however long you're a doctor, people like you will be remembered in history because you stood in the way of science, you stood in the way of truth, and you are going to be responsible, likely directly, for a lot of lives lost because of it.
Compared to what World War II happened.
I just want to be straight with you. I think you're crazy.
I love that, right? And again, I told you, this interview is amazing because nothing is being held back. He recognizes, sir, you are crazy. You are not going to just try to talk your way out and just spread disinformation, even though we're holding the bag of actual facts here. You're not going to do that. So I just love it. He was like, sir, you're crazy. Like, let's just be honest. You are crazy. right? And you are, more importantly, especially if you or one of your followers are watching, you are dangerous, right? That's really what he should have said. You are dangerous.
Before COVID, North Carolina's Board of Medicine reprimanded Buttar twice for the way he was treating autism and cancer patients. The board accused him of charging exorbitant fees for his ineffectual therapy.
And we've talked about this before, especially if you follow me on my TikTok, where, you had these freedom fighter physicians, those, probably the biggest opponents of the COVID vaccine, because they are selling so many other remedies, and they've made millions of dollars off of selling other remedies to play off the fears of people who watch like a Dr. Buttar and say like, oh my God, maybe the vaccine is something scary. And maybe I should be much more scared of the vaccine than the actual disease that's killing people around the world, right? And they make millions, and clearly like he is already used to being able to have financial gain with his disinformation.
Which he denied, including injecting a patient with hydrogen peroxide. The FDA also sent him a warning letter over products he made and sold that promised to do everything from treating chronic pain to improving sex drive.
And yet I have an unrestricted license to practice for 30 years.
And that is the problem.
That is really much the problem. And he knows it, right? Like imagine knowing that like I can do whatever I want, and yet my license is still unrestricted, which means I can still practice exactly how I want to practice despite all of the issues going on here. So if you're a part of the medical board, especially if you're in that state, federal medical specialties board, and like initially you put out, contacts that said, hey, if you as a physician, right, are spreading misinformation, disinformation, like there is risk of penalty, there is risk of, being unboarded, right? Like you, again, people like him is exactly who you need to sink your teeth in, because they recognize that all you were doing was just talking, right? Like all you were doing was just talking. Like if this guy is allowed to continue to do what he does, right, they know that you have no teeth in the game, which means they can continue to spread this information. And when they're spreading this false information, people will die, right? And then the medical board is going to have to look at themselves and say like, all right, we let this guy continue to practice and people like him. Absolutely scared.
Dr. Rashid Buttar repeatedly lies and disinforms on matters of public health, yet that doesn't have an impact on his medical license held in North Carolina.
Lions, not sheep.
Across the country, COVID-19 has created a subculture of disinformation among medical outcasts. State medical boards don't know what to do.
Those kinds of comments are very troubling to doctors who are on the front lines and managing COVID. They're particularly frustrating. In fact, some of my colleagues are livid.
CNN contacted medical boards in all 50 states. Half of them responded. Only 2, Rhode Island and Oregon, said they had actually disciplined doctors for coronavirus misinformation or related violations. That is despite hundreds of complaints. The Federation of State Medical Boards issued a warning to physicians who generate and spread COVID-19 vaccine misinformation or disinformation that they are risking disciplinary action, including the suspension or revocation of their medical license.
Something has to happen.
Especially in a pandemic, your actions could lead to the deaths of thousands of individuals because people trust what doctors say.
Buttar doesn't seem to care.
You had an outsized influence over just somebody who's living down the street in terms of people getting their medical advice. You have to admit that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did.
And you are raising
and
doubt
he's,
about
and
it.
he's giddy about it.
Because I hope more people take heed of the warning that is necessary.
And if you are wrong and they die because of that,
I am confident, more than confident, in my ability to have looked at the data and observe what's going on. And
you hear this a lot, right? Especially those who are like against the vaccine, especially in like their position. They always say, well, I've looked at the data. I've looked at the data. What data have you looked at? Like, let us know. What data do you look at? How did you interpret the data that you look at? So we can also look at said data as well. So they always do this, right? Especially, again, I've talked about this before when when they have some certain level of stature, they threw out these terminology, these keywords, right, to try to, extend this level of importance amongst them. But people like me, right, we read through this BS like it's nothing, right? So I hear, I looked at the data. No, you did not. Like, if you looked at the data, name the data that you looked at so we can look at it together, so I can try to figure out how you got to this false conclusion. But what you'll realize is that majority of them are not looking at the data. They're looking at their pocketbooks. They're realizing that there is a significant market for people. And again, I'm like, just check the comments under my YouTube channel, in a week or so. There is clearly enough information to say, like, the market is there, that people, if I get people confused, I can then turn around and sell them something. Right, I can turn around and sell them something. There's a recent conservative talk show host who just got COVID, because they always get COVID, and he talks about how he took 5 different medications to avoid taking the vaccine: monoclonal antibody, ivermectin, erythromycin. He was taking some other zinc. 5 different medications to avoid taking the one medication that he needed to take. These are the people who we are, again, debating against. It's not a debate, right? They're lying and we're not lying. It's not a debate. But when you have people as confident as a guy like this, that is what's scary, and this is what's going to kill people.
That if I'm wrong, so be it, because
if I'm wrong, so be it, right? If I'm wrong and your grandma doesn't make it to Christmas next year, so be it. If I'm wrong and your dad doesn't make it to Thanksgiving next year, so be it. If I'm wrong and your entire family dies from COVID, or even, let's say they don't die, but they suffer such significant handicap, whether it be trach, respiratory failure, all these other prolonged hospitalizations, and they're full, for life disabled, so be it. These are the people that you guys, and when I say you guys, I'm talking to the anti-vaxxers right now, because I know you're going to be watching. These are the people who you are going to follow to the end of the cliff. And trust me, if he gets COVID, he is going to be the first to ask for every single medication in the book to save his life. Every single one. Every single non-FDA one too, right? Like, it's going to happen. Right. So again, please be wary of people like this false. Again, I hate that he's still a physician, right? Like, be aware that people like him are here, right? And they don't care if you live.
I have to look at myself in the mirror every night when I go to bed and every morning when I get up. And I don't lose any sleep, Drew.
I don't lose any sleep. Again, I hate, you know me, right? I hate and I love when I get to call out, the doctors. And again, this happens to be a medical doctor. The past couple of weeks, we've been calling out, chiropractor here. We called out, an education doctor, right? Like, this is a doctor, a purveyor of disinformation. One who is not going to lose any sleep when you die, when your family members die, when your friends die, because of his disinformation that he's spreading out there. Like, if that's not enough to cause you to raise your antennas up and say, like, this is a person I don't know about. This is a person I don't know about. I'm not going to trust. Like, I don't know what will. Again, I am yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre. Again, thank you for coming to another episode of Real Physician Reacts. Make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. Again, go to watchdrbarry.com. Takes you right over to the YouTube channel, especially if you're watching this on my other social media platforms. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel as well. You guys be blessed, and I'm going to see you guys next week.